And that's why it's really important to have a thought partner to really push your thinking and make that information succinct and really clear.
Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, today's special guest is Nadira, and she is a thought partner and business consultant. Nadira, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show, Michelle.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, so we're LinkedIn friends. We're connected via LinkedIn. Always try to get that out the way. Everyone's like, Michelle, how do you know these people? LinkedIn is how we have connected. So it's been a pleasure watching your success. But tell me about yourself for those that are listening, your journey through your work experience and how you started your company.
Sure, happy to share that. So I'm currently a business consultant and thought partner who helps people create a transformation in their business and life by creating a plan. I work with individuals, startups, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and other coaches, and anyone else who I can serve as powerfully as possible. I started my business in 2014. I had one client who came to me after I graduated with my MBA and said, "Can you help me write a business plan?" And that's where it started. And there's been, lots of ups and downs, but through it, what I realized is that I had to make a shift in my mindset and knowing that everything was a choice. And so knowing that this is my calling per se in life, I just had to show up. I had to make the change and know that this is my legacy and that I wanted to help people to create their own legacies as well.
I love it. Now, when you talk about shift in mindset, I mean, you got your MBA, and obviously you have some work experience. Obviously you have some education. You graduate with your MBA and you start your own company. Did you feel prepared, or have you ever suffered with the imposter syndrome?
I did feel prepared. I felt like, even though I wasn't formally a consultant, I was doing it, for a few years prior to 2014 or even before graduating. So it was something I was doing informally, but I just didn't know the name for it. And so once I did graduate, I started doing some research, and then, my first client approached me. It was an aha moment.
Now, what are some of the challenges that your clients are facing when they do approach you?
One is they want to grow their business. This is just an example. So they want to grow their business and they don't know how to do that. So the first thing I'll ask them is, do you have a business plan or a strategic plan or some sort of plan? Like even if you're writing your notes in a journal. And if not, I really walk them through that process.
I struggle with this, the business plan, the marketing plan, and I did one semester of an MBA program, and then I decided to go a different route. But when I was in school, I kind of feel like there's so much emphasis on the business and the marketing plan, and I believe people get overwhelmed because we're geared to like, this plan has to be 30, 40, 50 pages. Is that true? Because I think that's what intimidates people when it comes to starting a business or not even doing the plan in itself.
Absolutely. That's a really great point. It does not have to be 30 or 40 pages. I think one is really utilizing bullet points and charts. And that's why it's really important to have a thought partner to really push your thinking and make that information succinct and really clear.
Thought partner. I think that was the first thing I recognized about you when we did connect with LinkedIn. How did you come up with that title?
So that title I hear a lot at work. I also work at a nonprofit organization, and it was actually the first time I had heard that term as well. So I started there a little over a year ago, and then all I heard was thought partner, thought partner. I thought, wow, this is a really great term. And then once I started doing some research, I thought that this was a really great fit for what I help people to do.
Okay, I like it. I know the thought leadership term is always being said, for certain people. And I think it's a good compliment because we're all striving to become an expert within our area of niche. And I suffered through this. I have a lot of ideas. I don't know. I think every idea is a million dollar idea. But sometimes I'm not always prepared to like go to my coach or my mentor. But I mean, always having that person to kind of help me think things through, not just with the idea, but the overall thing like, okay, Michelle, yes, it's a good idea, but doesn't make sense with your business, doesn't make sense for right now. Is that what you help people with?
Absolutely. Really just pushing, guiding their thinking and also supporting them and asking questions, just lots of questions. I don't want it to be all about me because it's about them and really growing their business or whatever it is that they want to do. And, helping them to find the answers. I don't want to just give people the answers. I really want them to discover that on their own.
I'm really big on, I know you mentioned mindset and I kind of detoured off of that, but I think the imposter syndrome is something I've kind of been struggling with because, like, I have those moments where I know what I know, but then I'm like, I don't know if I know enough to share it with someone or to, take on a client, especially when it comes to for me, a service-based business. What are some things that we can do to overcome that?
I think one is asking yourself, who would I be without that thought? And once you think about who you would be, you show up differently, right? Like you show up the way you see yourself showing up. And I think that's the first thing is just letting that thought pass by because it's not true. Um, and once you believe those thoughts, you start to feel like you can't do it, and just all these other things happen. So it's a domino effect. So one is, going back to that question, who would I be without that thought? And then really listing down, even keeping a journal of your next steps. And I'm a really big fan of creating action steps and really sticking to that and committing to that. So, just being able to organize yourself, asking yourself, who would I be without that thought and being organized. Another thing that I've done is affirmations. So I do my daily affirmations and also I go through the things that I'm grateful for. I think really just being present and focused is really important as well.
Yeah, I think over the past 2 years, I've been like in hyper gratitude mode. And what I've learned by having the spirit of gratitude, it's really just about perspective, right? Because there's so many positive and negatives that go on in life. But I'm like, my happiness is really based off of my perspective on this current situation. And am I going to look at the bright side and move towards that direction? Or am I going to be a Debbie Downer and not do anything about it?
And knowing that it's a choice, right? Like you know what your end goal is, you know what you want to feel like every day. And so just stopping yourself when a thought comes to your mind that says, okay, well, you know what, today I'm not going to do it. The thing about our mind is that when something goes so well, it roots for you, right? Like, hey, you're doing such a great job. But then when something doesn't go the way that we expect it to, our mind like creates these stories like you're not good enough, don't do this again. Just creates all these different barriers. So just being aware of it and, letting it go, like say, hi, bye. I don't need you.
That's true. Because I teach at a local college here in Houston. And I remember one time I called my supervisor for whatever reason. I just needed a touch base with her, and she was like, Miss Gomez, are you having a bad day? And I was like, I don't have bad days. I had a bad moment, but I don't have bad days. And she was like, oh, because I think most people they're like, yes, I am having a bad day, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and they'll just go on and on and on. But I'm like, it's a moment. I'm over it, but I need to give you this update. And I have a whole day ahead of me, and I know it's only going to be better.
I love that perspective, just having a bad moment. I'm going to steal that one.
Yeah, definitely. So now it took me a while to get there, but it's definitely about perspective.
Absolutely.
One thing, this has been on my mind off and on, but I've just never really sat down to plan it out. You talk about creating a virtual board of trustees. Can you go into that a bit more?
Sure. So a virtual board of trustees are people who will influence you so that you're successful. So whether it could be someone, you know, that you went to school with, or it could be, people that you work with, anyone who can contribute to pushing you towards success, and someone who will give you critical feedback and coach you through your experiences. But it's about in your mind, when a situation comes up, you can think of a person that you can go to who will really coach you through whatever it is that you're going through.
No, so this will be more than one person? Is it?
Yes, absolutely. I think having more than one person, people who with diverse backgrounds, diverse leadership stories, that really helps you to create a foundation for yourself, but also having people that you can go to. I think definitely should be more than one person, you know, from someone in finance or marketing, just anyone.
Now, I have mentors, but when I think of creating a board of advisors or trustees, like if I select 3 people to come together as my board, now am I having a meeting with all of them at the same time, like maybe a monthly or a quarterly meeting, like, hey, this is where I'm at with my business? Or am I still having one-on-one meetings with these group of individuals?
So these are just one-on-one meetings. Just consider your personal board of trustees. So you're your own organization and your own brand, and so just having people, that can really support you through that growth.
I like that you are your own organization and person. Why should people get a coach? I feel like from what I've seen, and I was talking to a friend yesterday, when I was working in corporate financial sector, I wasn't exposed to all of the things in entrepreneurship. Like I wasn't exposed to having a coach. But now that I'm in, this realm of entrepreneurship and online marketing, it's like everyone's talking about a coach. But when I refer that back to, once again, my career, my 9-to-5 friends, like they don't understand the purpose of a coach. Can you kind of dive into that across any sector, nonprofit, corporate, or entrepreneur, on the importance of having a coach and why we should get one?
That is a great question. Before when I was starting my business, I didn't have a coach up until I've been working with someone for a little over 6 months. And prior to that, my business was not growing. I was not growing. And my mindset was just in such it was just like bringing me down all the time. And I had all these great, plans, and, I wanted to do great things for my business. And just, I didn't realize that it started with me, that I had to, invest in myself, because I know that there was a lot of value in it. And once I did that, I could feel myself every single day growing. Like I was able to take critical feedback at work, that I was never able to do without taking it personally. So now I don't take things personally. There was just been like my life is so much better now that I have a coach, and I understand now the importance of investing in yourself, because you need to have your own personal development that you may not get anywhere else. So I think, having a coach is valuable. I definitely want to have a coach for the rest of my life. It's just, it's a life changer. And you have to know that everything starts with you. And just having someone there, even if it's just to talk to, it's not a therapy session, but someone who focuses on here and now and how to get you to where you want to be.
What are some of I guess when you first started getting your coach, from your experience, what are some of the things that you were looking for, the qualities, I guess the measurement of success? Like, how do you know you found the right coach? Because I feel like I was doing what, like, you need a coach. I'm like, okay, I know this person. I went to this person. I was like, I'm not happy with this coach. And not saying that, because in them, a lot of it, I definitely have some blame in it as well. But we weren't a good fit. But I feel like, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I wish I knew some questions to ask or some things to look out for instead of just grabbing the first person I see online that I can afford.
So I remember someone reached out to me on LinkedIn, right? Like about their services. And that's cool because I do that too. I reach out to folks, try to get a conversation on the calendar. So, I scheduled time to meet with this person and we met and we actually spoke over the phone. And so he was telling me about himself and what he does. And he just made everything about him, which was like a red flag. Then he told me the price, and I was like, no, that's just way too much. But it felt like a sales call. Um, and so that's something that really, I was turned off by that. Like, I don't want to feel like pressured, um, especially if this is about like personal growth. Like, I really want someone to like serve powerfully. And I didn't get that sense. So if it feels like it's a sales call, like they're just trying to meet their, annual salary for the year, I'm not with that because, if I'm not, I don't show up that way for my clients and I don't want someone else to show up that way for me.
Good point. Good point. I think and I believe in systems and processes, but I get what you're saying because you don't want to feel like you're going through that system because it's more like you can feel when it's transactional versus relationship based, the way someone's talking to you.
Right.
So I know you have a book, a free download on your website. Can you talk about that a little bit? I think it's going back to the business plans.
Yes. So I launched an ebook called Five Powerful Ways to Create a Business Action Plan. And this book really lists 5 ways to, one, get through that mindset, thinking about your why. And, just knowing that if you're going to go into business for money, like, don't read this book. This book is really, to really push people to get out of their comfort zone and say, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to think about my why. I need to think about, my leadership story, what's my purpose, and actually getting their thoughts out onto paper. Because sometimes we have so much going on in our minds that it becomes so overwhelming. And so just taking a step, whether it's every day to write down your ideas and some action steps and then organizing it into an actual business plan. Again, it doesn't have to be 30 to 40 pages, but just something that'll hold you accountable and something that you can look at and see your progress. And the book also talks about a little bit about my story and why I've started my business. But I really wanted this book to serve people and knowing that they don't have to read, a 100-page book to get what it is they need to start a business plan or even start their business. It's just a simple guide, like say, okay, I can go to this and let me see what my first step is. Once I write down my whys, I can go into the next step.
Did you state leadership story? Tell your leadership story?
Yes.
This is my first time hearing that. Can you dive into that a little bit? Or what does that consist of?
Sure. So a leadership story is, it talks, being able to talk about your experience, like, I guess being able to talk about your experiences and how you really use your experience to create change or to help transform someone's life. And so my leadership story is that, I grew up in a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn after, coming from Trinidad to New York City with my parents and seeing every day my dad, come home from, working 2 or 3 jobs and understanding that he never complained. But what I, realized growing up is that his work environment was not the best. And I took that experience and those feelings that I had and knowing that I wanted to create some sort of change for someone else. So, for example, I want to make sure that people have a great work environment. If I'm working with someone who's starting their business, I want to be able to be a part of that process to ensure that they're creating the policies and procedures that will allow for a great work environment, that will create conditions for employees that are safe, that are productive, that are efficient. Um, but just taking that experience and really creating change. Like that's what I'm about, just creating change, helping people to create their legacy. And so, it's really about the environment, making sure that people are successful and that they, have the professional development that they need.
Yeah, I like that. It's my first time hearing it laid out like that. So I think this is going to be my homework assignment for this week. What is Michelle's leadership story? I think
You'll discover a lot about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. It's very, very intriguing. And I celebrated a birthday maybe 6 months ago. And so right before I turned 34, somehow, something crossed my mind, and it's like, Michelle, you're 34, what is this legacy going to look like? This life that looks so chaotic, what is the legacy going to look like? But, I'm going to ask you, what do you hope your legacy will be?
That's a really great question. And it's something that I think about every day. I have a 2-year-old son, and, my legacy is that I want to be able to make an impact for anyone who wants to create something in their life. And so, my legacy is to ensure that my son has, any opportunity that he wants in his life. I want to build a better life for him, and my family. And I want other people to be able to do that as well. Like, that's my legacy. Like, I want people, if someone has an idea to start their business, in America, like, I want to be able to be a part of that process and really walk them through it and help them to create theirs. So, my legacy is to help other people create their own legacies.
I love it. So what's next? What do you have lined up? Any new books, products, services, anything of that nature?
So right now I'm just, I work on my Tuesday Thought Partner emails. They go out every week, and it's just a snippet of, anything that may be on my mind or any suggestions that I get from my subscribers. I'm thinking about, writing another ebook. I'm just gathering some of my ideas, and, I'm also writing a book. I started writing my book, which I'm hoping to launch either at the end of this year or next year. I'm really excited about that. And the book really is going to focus on your mindset and knowing that everything starts with you. I don't have a name for it yet, but that's just some of my ideas.
I got you. I definitely understand. I definitely want to just thank you once again for taking the time out, for being a positive influence, obviously for this show and beyond. I like everything that you're doing. It's really good to see that. I know people are going to enjoy this episode. So what is the best way for people to get in contact with you as well as download your ebook?
Sure. So folks can contact me at nrnyconsulting@gmail.com, or they can visit my website, nadiraramcharan.com. That's NADIRARAMCHARAN.com.
All right. And we'll definitely have that website and the email address provided in the show notes. I want to thank everyone for listening, tuning in. Remember, I believe in you. Personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.